Ready. Recording. Share.
So,
We'll just mute that so we don't get any feedback. And then sharing. If you just want to have a seat back there. All right.
thank you.
I think we're there. We're streaming, we're recording, and here. If you want to call us to order.
Very good. Welcome to the, whatever today is, December 17th installment of UIDRB. I will swear you in to begin things.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but
I do. Stephanie Penzo, Planning Division, and we could go ahead and swear Jamie in just in case.
Jamie didn't say.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Very good. Let's call the roll.
Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
Ms. Gunzelman,
Yes.
Ms. Parker. Yes. Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Sublett,
Yes.
Mr. Smansky.
Yes.
We do not have Mr. Mather, but we still have a quorum. Right.
We don't really do the overview stuff every time, do we?
No, but I can, just,
Okay.
for the record. So for each case, city staff will present the application materials and read through our staff report. Our applicant will be sworn in and asked if they have any additional information they'd like to share, if they have any registered speakers, which at this point, it does not appear that we do. They will be given 3 minutes to speak, and then the board will have a chance to discuss the case and ask any questions, and then we take the action.
Very good. I'm assuming everyone had the opportunity to review the November minutes. Does anyone have any questions or amendments they'd like to make? If not, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And I'll second.
That was a motion by Mr. Fleming, seconded by Mr. Reed. Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
Ms. Gunzelman,
Yes.
Ms. Parker, Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Sublett,
Yes.
Mr. Smansky.
Yes.
Motion carries.
First case, COA 2501-335, 1972 North High Street.
All right. COA 2501-335, 1972 North High Street. The applicant is requesting review and action on proposed demolition and reconstruction of a McDonald's restaurant and the associated surface parking. Staff notes the parking lot to the south is leased and therefore not owned by the applicant, but will be resurfaced and includes upgraded lighting as a part of this project. The signage package has also been included in this proposal. The submission includes site plans, floor plans, lighting, landscaping plans, elevations, renderings, sections, material specifications, and signage details. We'll look through those. Here is the site we're talking about. It's an existing McDonald's.
I guess one question. We saw this before.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yep. In June of 2024.
Yeah.
So here is the proposed site plan. And then here's a rendering for the McDonald's. And here is the material board.
Fiscal.
So, thank you. And then here is the different lighting fixtures. Additional materials. And then this is the signage detail. So we have an M, and then we have McDonald's on the west and south elevation of the building. So 2 signs for frontage. Then we can zoom back out. And then we just have their set of drawings showing the floor plan. It's gonna load very slowly. Square footages. So, we have our elevations. So this is the west elevation, the front, and then this is the south elevation. Here's the north elevation, and then the rear elevation. We have very different sections here. We can come back to this if there are any particular questions. We grow up because I'm scrolling too fast. Or get. Okay, here is their exterior lighting plan. You can see some of that upgraded lighting in that adjacent parking lot. You can also see here the new dumpster enclosure, which they have included, elevations of what that will look like. And then here's that dumpster enclosure. And then we do have, landscaping plans somewhere in here. No. Bike racks. Oh, here's the landscaping plan. So they're showing some landscaping in front of the building, back here in the parking. And there is an existing landscaped, raised landscape bed here in the corner. The applicant has advised that will remain. And this is just that lighting. So, this application was heard by the UIDRB at the June 2024 hearing. At that time, the board was supportive of the design, but requested additional landscaping, bicycle parking, and more detail on the sidewalk to the south and how that would function when we designed as a pedestrian corridor. The applicant has provided that information. The proposal is generally consistent with the University District Plan. The plan recommends a variety of uses on the site and that new construction be compatible with the surrounding area, as well as be of high quality design. The plan also recommends that pedestrian connectivity be prioritized, the building be located close to the street, and the parking be to the rear. Finally, the plan recommends landscaping that enhances the project. The proposal is consistent with these recommendations. However, the plan also recommends the use of high quality materials and light fixtures that minimize light spillage. The proposal is somewhat consistent with these guidelines. The board should discuss the use of EPIS and mini flood light fixtures as uplighting on part of the signage with the applicant. In regards to the signage, the proposal is generally consistent with plan recommendations for signage types and quantities. The size of the signage is larger than the plan recommends, but it is appropriate based on the design of it. And with that, staff recommends support without condition.
Thank you very much. The applicant is here. I need to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Would you like to add anything to the city's overview?
Thank you.
Nothing?
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to discussing this with you guys. We came about a year and a half ago for conceptual. The changes that we made since then were mostly interior, working with McDonald's and kind of their, internal layout. We also revised the entrance on the south and added, planter beds on the west side that you can see in this rendering here, as well as bike racks to support kind of the feedback that we heard last time, which we appreciated from you guys. The entrance to, on the south side, it used to be a little bit further back, towards the east. We moved that closer to High Street and added a, accessible ramp and a little stair there, along that south facade. As well as, like Stephanie said, we're resurfacing that parking lot.
So it's based on grade at the back of the site,
Correct.
like your, it falls towards High Street.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know that I know this. But so the parcel to the south is owned by a separate entity.
Correct.
Is that staying as part of this? And the reason I ask is like, if that was ever redeveloped, or is that parking associated with this? Because I know you're
No.
adding, but you're just keeping that.
We're just maintaining it kind of for good measure. They're leasing it, but the parking is, yes, yes. So just kind of as a good tenant, they're improving the parking lot and the lighting in there. But the parking that's associated with the lot is to the east.
So you feel that even if a building was built there,
Yes.
that part of the movement entrance to the, I guess, west is probably better too. Allows for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Biggest question for staff, this is the UCR zoning classification, so they're not required to provide any parking at all. So, yeah, the park, I mean, my question would be whether the parking to the south needs to be improved, but really the project is kind of standalone, like the parking obviously in front of this customer, that's not what's required to get the project, so.
Correct. Yeah, I think as it's there right now, when they do lease it, they want to make it a little bit nicer, especially since they're gonna have this nice new building. But they definitely fully understand that it is peaceful. You can see kind of some cracks and things in the pavement that when there's, you know, all this nice new site improvement to the north, they wanted to kind of beautify that area. But yeah, they do anticipate most of the customers walking. And then a lot of like DoorDash and Uber type things.
I had a question. I love that you added the landscaping and the bike rack in the front, and then obviously accessibility is a really big thing for me, so I think having that entrance, right in front is great. I was wondering, do you know how thick that wall is in the front? Like, do you think people could sit on that to eat out front, or is it really, really thin?
It is not really, really thin. I want to say it's a foot. Yeah.
Okay. Because I think I could see some people sitting on it
Perching on it.
and, yeah, eating their McDonald's and looking at traffic.
As a follow-up to that, I don't think this came up in the previous meetings. I honestly don't remember what it looked like last time, in detail, but did you consider in lieu of the planter at the front, to just have to maintain some measure of exterior dining?
That was not,
Is it not a priority for them or something?
wasn't a priority for them. I think it was definitely wanting that green space along High Street. And they wanted to push the building as far towards High Street as they could. So in doing that, I don't think they thought there would be enough space for some designated outdoor dining.
But it does say that it's gonna be a foot, that ledge, potentially moves.
It says it in the drawings. I would need to double check to confirm, but I believe that it's a foot.
You spent any time on that part of High Street? No one's gonna sit out there.
Oh, no, I just couldn't.
I'm there weekly. No one's gonna sit there and eat. I mean, they're gonna walk across the street. There's a whole campus
Yeah.
full of green space. Like, yeah, I mean, it seems like a reasonable solution. Like if someone really wanted to sit on the wall and eat, they could, but the vast majority of people are gonna go to campus or they're gonna go down the street to the big house plaza.
It's loud.
Yeah, it's loud and people drive fast.
Is there a landscape plan that was submitted?
Stay tuned. Pretty cool.
When I was trying to get to it, but it's a big document, so it's taking me a little while.
She said.
And-
Look, they're charging by the fee.
What page are we on here? 86 of 89. You're following along. Within-
Thank you.
Sorry, it's been blown out too, if you look at the screen.
Yeah, well, I have it on here too, so I can zoom in. Because my eyes aren't that great. Just kind of, I was also looking at the stair detail and the railing that you have there on the edge. Is that, what type of railing is that you have proposed?
It is a aluminum railing.
It is in the room.
Mhm.
How, let's see. What's the thickness of it? I'm only asking is because, it's right on the edge and just, want to make sure it's durable in
Sure.
that location.
Sure. I can double check that. I would imagine it's an inch and a half, two.
It's just a handrail. Like it's just an open handrail, so it's an inch and a half. Two with a handrail, there's no guard.
Right. Can see him swinging underneath it. I'm just saying. I'm just- let's talk a little bit about the building lighting. Staff was concerned about some of the filtering of the floodlights. Can you maybe, is there a plan or,
So just to clarify, and the applicant can speak to this more, on the spec sheet so this is the mini floodlight.
yeah,
That is on the building below this, right, to kind of uplight this sign. So that's, it is fixed and pointed towards this, but it is technically a floodlight, which the plan doesn't recommend, and
That's what's going to illuminate it, internally illuminated sign.
It just doesn't meet McDonald's current standards right now. I believe in terms of maintenance, this is a little bit easier for them, but you're exactly right. Flood can be a little bit of a misnomer. It's more of a pointed spotlight.
And that's on both sides,
Correct.
and that's McDonald's, current design, as opposed to.
We get that that's McDonald's preference, is that a requirement?
I mean, I'd certainly be happy to have that conversation
Yeah.
with them and, and see if it's something that they'd be willing to switch at this location. I don't want to say for sure, but,
Yeah, so that way to.
well, right, I think they would be willing to,
So to clarify, we talked with the applicant that like the signage
Is a
could
separate.
be
be
pulled out
separate.
of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With
Yeah, I
that
mean-
light fixture as well, so we could.
I think it's nicest fucking McDonald's I've seen design in decades. They should hire you to do more. So, I mean, from my standpoint, it's a nice design. It's appropriate. It meets the street properly. It's got some great presence out front, which is good. I would exclude the parking lot to the south for obvious reasons, not required as part of the project. So, I mean, it's a nice, I think where I will diverge slightly is I don't give a shit about corporate McDonald's
yeah.
preferences. I think it's reasonable that the sign complies with the other kinds of signs in the district. And, I think because the size of it is already exceeding the guidelines.
How much? I was gonna ask about that.
I think,
Not that I'm off put by the,
yeah, I think the plan recommends, like for wall signs, I think it's 16 or 18 inches, and these are 20.
Yeah,
These letters
so
are
I mean,
20.
so it's already a little large, and I think to your point, it's sized appropriately for the design. Like, I think the McDonald's of the M holds the field between the corners the way it should. So I have no, objection to the size of the sign, but I think the condition of exceeding what the plan allows should be that they should use an internally illuminated. I mean, they're kind of typical throughout the neighborhood. It's a pretty small ones.
I think that they would be amenable to that, and we can certainly have that conversation with them. But yeah, like you said, we can certainly have the signage be separate and maybe do like a plan approval and then come back for a final signage.
I would say and you all correct me if you feel I'm speaking out of turn, but I think that if we could rectify the way that the sign is illuminated and make that consistent with the plan, that this would be okay to staff.
Yeah.
When they
Yes.
agree.
I
Absolutely.
agree.
The other point that we called on the staff report was the use of EPIS, just calling that out because some folks don't find that to be a high quality material. So if you guys are fine with it, that's fine, but,
I mean, it's an economical material. I think it's a question of where it's used and the proportion relative to the internal building. I mean, I think it's reasonable here. It's a neutral feasibility between more articulated, higher finished corners. So I don't have any objection in this case.
You go the elevation supervision where it's being used. I'm almost there.
That's fine.
Is it just end up in the signage band?
Yeah, it'll be up.
So if it's above,
there.
the location of, pedestrian and auto traffic, I feel confident that that would, be able to survive
Okay.
impact. So I'm also okay with that.
back to the lighting, were the golden arches illuminated by the spotlight as well?
No, just the McDonald's.
Okay.
Is the M, is that is internally illuminated though? Or not illuminated at all?
Based on looking at the sign,
Yeah.
I was just looking at.
Yeah, it looks like it's powered.
Look like it's powered, yeah.
It looks like the sign is powered too for some reason.
I thought so too.
That's what I'm, because it shows electrical requirements for the
Right.
sign, and it has a raceway. It's not just letters, so,
Oh, yeah.
so I'm not sure.
Okay, I do apologize. The signage design was through somebody else, so I want to make sure that I'm answering correctly, but I wasn't intimately involved, so I can't say for sure.
It says sign is to be in accordance with the requirements of Article of the National Electric Code, and so like. And that doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not hearing really any issues with the building, the site plan, the landscaping, so I would suggest that perhaps, we confirm with the applicant that they're cool with modifying the application to remove the signage, and then,
Well, I mean, you could do a conditional approval, like, because if no one has objections to the signage otherwise, then the approval can just be with the condition that the applicant verifies the sign. If the sign is internally illuminated, no issue whatsoever. If it's externally illuminated, delete the external illumination.
we could just say to remove the external illumination
Yeah,
from.
I mean, it's fair, I think. We'll try to find the like. 89 page set.
So if we said to remove the exterior lights,
Floodlights.
and then it wasn't internally limited, it would just come back for a revised signage package. And if it was internally limited already, then they're good to go. Right, is that what
Okay.
you're?
Yeah. I think it's clear enough to say, to do a conditional approval with the condition being that they remove the external illumination from the signage, and then, if it's already internally illuminated, great, if not, step through, accept it.
It's really just your clarification.
Yeah.
And then what did we decide on with the railing? Is this what you're talking about over here? Where it's like this gap right here, is that what you were?
Yeah,
Notion. That's around.
See it on the right hand side.
yeah, on the right-hand side. I didn't see a
On the far.
detail or
To the
a,
left. Yeah, there, that. This part? Here again.
well,
Here again.
Your question,
On
whether
the
it's
side.
a pipe rail or whether it has horizontal or vertical slat.
well, I'm not so, I mean,
Probably doesn't because it's less than a 30-inch.
30 inch, it doesn't need the guards or the slats, but my concern is it needs to withstand some abuse, and I don't want a thin.
On High Street in the university, we could be able to withstand some abuse. You lost your mind?
I don't know, do you have recommendations for that?
I mean, if it's,
Your standard aluminum, my concern is your standard aluminum rail
no, strong
is
enough.
not gonna be strong enough.
So you think it should be steel? Well, I guess it depends on what gauge the aluminum is.
It does depend on the gauge of aluminum.
If it's heavy enough, it should be fine.
And how it's attached to your concrete.
It'll be surface mounted to the concrete.
Did you say that's what you were worried
I am concerned about it being surface mount. I know, Keely, do you have a?
Only that, I'm not sure I need to really care. I mean,
I mean, if they have, if it's in there, they're gonna have.
yeah, I mean, if it breaks, then they've got to fix it. Like, it's sort of on them to decide. I mean, it's 6 of one, half dozen the other, right? If you're gonna surface mount it with expansion bolts, someone can possibly tilt it over and rip bolts out. If you socket it into the concrete, the steel's gonna rust and
What should
eventually.
have this huge cotton stepper? I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
there's no pretty way to do it, but.
I mean, so I don't know. I mean, my take on it is that's between the owner and the architect.
I'd certainly be happy to have the conversation with them and see if they're willing to switch to steel or, if they have any kind of opinions on that. But knowing them, they too are gonna wanna make it look nice and not have a railing that's, damaged or anything
Right.
like that, so.
I mean, I kind of feel like if this represents a standard detail for them, that they've put enough of these in, that if they've not had issues with it, then if it's not broken, we don't need to fix it. So I think that probably would be their response. But I appreciate your concern.
Just saying.
And repairs would be staff.
Yeah.
No, but it's. It's going.
I think we're up for a motion.
I move to approve application COA 2501335 with the condition that the external illumination on the signage is removed.
Second.
I will second.
Thank you. That was the motion for conditional approval by Ms. Gunzelman, seconded by Mr. Reeves. Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
Ms. Gunzelman,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Reeves,
Yes.
Mr. Sublette,
Yes.
and Mr. Smansky. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Good luck.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, let's settle here with all this stuff. Oops. So I get.
Graham.
Oh, okay. That's good. Gonna come up to the table. All right, thank you. Okay. Next case, COA 2500935 for 1471 Michigan Avenue. The applicant is requesting a rehearing based on economic hardship to include review and action on the following exterior building alterations. Removal of slate roof and replacement with asphalt shingles. The new shingles are Owens Corning Supreme Onyx Black shingles. Staff notes that the shingle is on the approved shingles list, but the color is not. And the removal of the original gutters and replacement with 5-inch K-style gutters, and then the addition of ridge and soffit ventilation. Staff notes that this work has already been completed without a certificate of approval or a building permit. No code violations have been issued at this time. In addition to the previously submitted materials, which are included in your packet, that include photos of the new roof, gutters, and soffit vents, photos of the roof mid-construction and quotes for replacement prior to the work being completed. The applicant has provided the completed appeals application, financial information and statements, self-completed cost analysis of roofing and gutter options based on the 2015 estimate, and then current quotes for re-roofing with an approved shingle and rebuilding the gutters. The applicant maintains they do not have any photos of the roof or gutters or condition assessments from before they were demolished. So let's walk through the materials here. This is the appeals application form, which just provides the different options for the applicant moving forward, and then they listed all the documents they provided. The financial documents, which you all were provided a redacted copy that I'm not going to pull up on the screen. And then we have updated project cost documents. So this is that earlier quote that the applicant self-adjusted, and then we have all of the behind the scenes map to that. And then this is the cost for the re-roofing that they did themselves. And then we did ask them as a part of this application to get a quote for an approved shingle and color. So that's what this first one is here. I think it's about $10,000-ish. $10,723. And then additions. And then we also asked that they get a quote to rebuild the gutters. And then this one also includes redoing the shingles as well. So to do both, for this quote, they were looking at around $56,000. And then this is just the September application materials. So you have the photos here of the shingles that have been installed, photos of the new venting, photo of the new gutter. And then if you recall from the September hearing, as stated, we don't have any photos of the condition of the roof or the gutters prior to demolition, but the applicant did provide these photos, and you can infer the condition of the roof based on the condition of the decking. And then this is kind of the mid-construction. And then as a part of their original submission, they did have quotes from over the years for like various repairs or replacements of different elements. So we have quotes from Allstate Exterior, Imperial Roofing, durable slate. And again, some of these are just for different maintenance items, replacing a few slates here and there. Some of them are for more substantive work. I believe all or most of these are just quotes. None of them are like fully executed by contracts. This one is from durable slate. And then I think we have one more, another one from durable slate. And then we have this last one. So with that, let's go back to the top here. Okay. So, this proposal came, before the board at the September 2025 meeting, at which time the board was sympathetic to the applicant, but expressed concern over precedent, noting the plan's recommendation for slate roofs and character defining features to be preserved where possible, as well as recent non-support for requests to remove box gutters. The board suggested rebuilding the gutters as a potential remediation and noted requesting the applicant to replace the roof with slate was not reasonable. The application was denied at that time. I linked in the staff report the full approved minutes from September.
And to be clear, I think the original gutters were not box gutters, they were
I'll
stock.
get to that.
Okay, great.
So as a result of the denial of the applicant had the following options to move forward per city code section 3316 and 31180683. So option one, they could either come back with a new or revised proposal to the board. Option two would be a rehearing by the board based on economic hardship or unusual and compelling circumstances. Option three would be to appeal directly to the Board of Commission Appeals, also known as BOCA, on the premise that the UIDRB acted in an arbitrary and capricious and unreasonable way in its initial denial. The applicant chose option number two, to return to the UIDRB for a rehearing based on economic hardship, and has provided the required documentation to do so. Upon rehearing, the board should evaluate the materials submitted by the applicant to determine if an economic hardship exists, and therefore if supporting the original proposal is appropriate, based on 3116.15 criteria to determine a substantial economic hardship. So we tried in writing the staff report to be very clear about the code sections to make these determinations. So 3116.15, these are the different criteria that shall be used for all applicants to determine the existence of a substantial economic hardship. Number one, the denial of a certificate will result in a substantial reduction in the economic value of the property. Number two, denial of a certificate will result in a substantial economic burden on the applicant because the applicant cannot reasonably maintain the property in its current form. Number three, no reasonable alternative exists consistent with the architectural standards and guidelines for the property. Or four, the owner has been unable to sell the property. If the board upholds its denial, Code City Code 3116.19 hearing requires that the board clearly state in the record of the hearing the reason that the applicant failed to meet the aforementioned test for substantial economic hardship. If the application is granted after rehearing, 3116.19C requires the board to state for the record that one, clear and convincing evidence which was presented of unusual and compelling circumstance, or in this case, substantial economic hardship. Or number two, that the final plan is appropriate to the preservation of the district pursuant to the purposes, architectural characteristics, guidelines, and standards of this chapter and of the chapter pertinent to the subject property. Or three, that although inappropriate, such proposal due to unusual and compelling circumstances affects only the subject structure and not the district generally. And number four, reasons why the project should proceed in light of the commission's charge to protect the public welfare from substantial detriment and degradation of the intent and purpose of this chapter and of the chapter pertinent to the subject. I apologize.
Oh,
Code. So with all that, staff makes no determination on the legitimacy or the extent of the stated economic hardship, but does note that the work completed is inconsistent with the university district plan. The plan recommends preservation of contributing buildings and their character defining features. The plan also explicitly states that the removal of box gutters is not supported. The slate roof and the original gutters were character defining features of the potentially contributing structure circa 1910. Further, staff notes a potential solution could be to replace the existing shingles with a shingle in color from the approved shingles list and to rebuild the original gutters. Despite the applicant not providing a quote to redo the slate roof, staff would not recommend this as a reasonable solution due to length and cost. As such, staff recommends that the board either continue the application to work with the applicant on a revised proposal to make the project more consistent with plan recommendations, or uphold the original denial, allowing the applicant to appeal the decision to the Board of Commission Appeals pursuant to 3116.2 planning on rehearing. As a point of clarification, after further review with the Historic Preservation Office, the original gutters do appear to be stop gutters, not box gutters. That does not affect the original denial because the stop gutter is still a character defining feature, so removing it is inconsistent with their recommendations. So there's not an issue there. If you flip through the materials, there is kind of some back and forth in the nomenclature across the various quotes. Some people call them box gutters, some people call them stop gutters. And even in the quote that we have from November 2025, it's unclear if they coded a box or a stop gutter because the section says box/stop gutters. So if the quote is for box gutters, in the opinion of our preservation staff, stop gutters would likely have been cheaper to repair or cheaper to rebuild because of the less framing and less structure that goes into a stop gutter as opposed to a box gutter.
Yeah, do you? I mean,
So, so with all of that, the board can proceed with the information that we have. Or an additional option would be to just continue the application and let the applicant get a quote that is very clearly for rebuilding.
well, I mean, I think, so to me, the issue has to do with how the appearance of the building has changed relative to the historic condition. Like, Lord, you know this, like a box gutter, yeah, what,
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Very good.
And this is the homeowner, Mr. On.
actually, so you live at the property? I think staff mentioned, did you re-roof it yourself? You re-roofed it yourself? Yeah, okay. And I think, I mean, I guess just one question for staff. This is a little bit of a gray area in the sense that like by code, repairs are not required. You don't submit drawings for repairs. Like, so, you know, if you want to re-roof elsewhere in the city, like if I ever want to re-roof my house, which I need to at some point because my wife's getting pissed with all the leaking. Like, I don't need a full permit. I don't need to submit to the city typically. Like, it's just, am I speaking in error here?
Jack James Goodman, City Preservation Officer, you are required to get a permit to remove
Okay.
in the city of Columbus.
Okay, in the city of
And
Columbus.
in fact, a permit will not be issued in a design review area or historic district if they cannot.
Well, I mean, that's why,
certificate.
yeah, and that's why, no, I get that part of it. I'm just trying to think through the logic of this. Like, if I have to re-roof my house, like, because the Ohio Building Code does not require it. So there's a little bit of a gray area where it's like city requires it, and then of course you're in a historic district and you need the certificate of appropriateness. So the point is simply I can see how the initial mistake happened, particularly if you're doing it yourself, right? You're not hiring a contractor who's more familiar with permitting. You certainly don't need an architect. So to me, like that's the first critical piece of information. The other is whether it's a box gutter or a stop gutter. And like the difference is, you know, a box gutter is a much more complicated affair that if you decided I'm done with the box gutter and I'm going to lop it off, it really changes the historic appearance of the building. The stop gutter, if the stop is above the line of the roof, inboard of the eave, and we don't know that this is the existing condition.
That is a very developed drawing of the stop.
From where?
I'm not sure where that one came from, but I can tell you.
That's just an example we have.
Example, like, yeah, so like, here's
Often they
a,
are just a simple board.
yeah, and here's
These are
another,
molded across.
right, and so like, here's another example, right? And it's a foot in of the, and so from ground level at the angle, like, what do you even see?
If I may.
So there are Uh, right. There are some pretty good photos of the previous condition on the auditor's website. While you can't see the exact detail of like the molding, you can see in comparison to the photos of what the applicant submitted of the gutters. Now, how that has changed.
Well, I guess the question is, what can you see from the street? Because what's your address?
French. They really need to speak.
There. Thanks.
And do that screen. Oh, there you go.
So you can see that there would have been, and Jamie, through the expert, let's correct me if I'm wrong, but there was this molding detail here and then the stop is.
Yeah,
But in fact, by this point, what you can see is it looks as though in relining it at different times, it has now come up over what that stop was. So you can see that, and I thought on one of the pictures that you saw from after we had removed the sheets, it's like, I thought there was still some pan that you
Yeah,
saw
there-
hanging out where it would then, so to Commissioner Fleming's note, and it is above what has to be.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like, I look at, you can see it in the Google Street View.
Yeah.
And it is a frankly tumor on the surface of the roof at an angle. It's not character defined.
There's the original.
Mhm.
That was removed.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I think my perspective on this is like, if the client, like, if the owner had lopped off a foot of box gutter and, you know, changed the appearance of the building from the street, like, I would have more of a bone to pick, but like, the removal of the stop gutter really does not, in my opinion, significantly impact the appearance of the building from the street. Like, this is not a historic district. This is not a historic building. We're not talking about the period of significance and all that stuff that the National Park Service cares about. Like, so it's, you know, it's a kind of judgment about how much is lost in the removal of stop gutter and how much that significantly affects the character of the neighborhood. And from my perspective, it's not much. Like, you know, I think I get kind of how the applicant got to this point. Thank you to Jamie, so that I made sure to pull a permit before I re-roof my own house. But I see how the mistake was made, and I just, like, I don't see how going through a bunch of contortions and expense for that is worth it. Like, we've had other people come in front of the board that I think were much more obvious in flouting the requirements of the board, like removing, you know, clay tile roofs or chopping off box gutters or doing, you know, a lot more, but like, none of this to me is at that level of offense. So, I mean, I'll be blunt, from my perspective, I would just accept this.
I do kind of want to disagree just a little bit, because I don't have any architecture experience, but I do know that Google is pretty friendly when it comes to DIYing projects. And I do feel like if you were to type in how to do a roof, probably one of the number one things would be that you would need a permit. I'm not saying that I think that this should be removed from a sustainability aspect of environmental reasons and waste, but I do think that it is something that would be relatively easy to see that you would need a permit. So I think it's just more frustrating on the back end as a board member, because knowing that if we go ahead and say, okay, we can't see it, so it doesn't matter, I'm wondering then how many other applicants or people in the neighborhood might then try and DIY things and then come to us and want us to rectify what happened.
I mean,
So,
Also, just to clarify, because I did get the question earlier, it is supposed to be in the closing documents of folks who purchase homes in historic and design review areas that they are in a design review area. So, the question came up before, I think when we heard this last time, of like, is there a way to make sure that people know? And for our conversations earlier, it is my understanding that people are made aware when they purchase.
So this, I mean, this is not a historic area.
Right, or a design review area.
This is not, German Village or Victorian Village or the one up by University, Northwood and Oakland. Like, this is just the special impact district. Like, every change comes in front of us, but we regularly accept changes to buildings from their original historic character, because that's not our charge or our purview. Like,
Well, the plan does recommend the preservation of character defining features. So,
understood. I mean,
If I may also point out, just to put a point on one of your comments, that looking at this is something that was modified over time. It's not the gold standard of showing exactly what a stop gutter at this point.
And that's why I think
Like,
question, so
it had been modified.
was a stop gutter and then
It's been modified.
It's been modified, it's rolled up over and.
Yeah.
that it was, so was it operating as a stop?
Well, it was still operating, it just wasn't operating very well, because the more and more material that you add inside that, so every time you reline it without pulling it out, it makes that pan shallower and shallower and shallower and shallower.
it's just
And
gonna.
then why is water just pouring over the side of my?
Yeah.
And that's what it is from a, just from a practical standpoint.
yeah.
The other thing is, if I may, just to put a point on how do people know about it, we also need to always entrust that real estate agents are getting this information, because it is who's dealing with when you do the contracts and sign them. It's all part of disclosures, but that doesn't necessarily say that you're in a district. It won't necessarily say what's involved.
Right.
And so it puts on people who buy properties to figure out what that is.
But I mean, there's also that.
I'm just saying where the information lies, so.
There's also that distinction, like, if I purchase in Victorian Village or German Village, I just by nature of looking at the property there, have an understanding that it's a historic district and it's rather stringent. But in the university district within our purview, there's not the same understanding, because there's a ton of shitty buildings. Like, you know, our purpose, to quote Frank Petrozzillo, rest in peace, we're here to stop that from happening. We're not here to make everything perfect. That's not the purview of this board. Because if my purview was to, you know, only to allow perfect, like, a lot of stuff that's come in front of us, I would have voted against. So the question is, how significant of a penalty to the neighborhood is the removal of the stop gutter?
and just to clarify, in addition, so, you know, we have the soft gutter that was more like up here, but you do have this trim detail that existed all the way around that is no longer there.
I guess that was my question, was clarification, that trim detail replaced by the
The
gutter
cake
gutter.
gutter.
to kind of look, so.
do we have a photo of the current
Yes.
gutter?
Oh, where? There it is. So this, you can see, is a gutter now. Whereas it was this,
Trim piece. And trim piece.
yeah.
And I guess my comment, and I'm kind of in the middle of where you are, is there, I agree that, I mean, this in and of itself isn't the end of the world. I think when you came forward before, you said, who's your contractor? They should be responsible. And then you said, well, I'm the contractor, right? You know, there is a thought of looking at this is that if this wasn't the individual doing this, would we look at a contractor differently and say that contractor knows they have to pull a permit? That contractor, you know, are we giving forgiveness because it's a homeowner? And maybe that doesn't set as much precedent because I don't think there's a ton of guys out there doing their own roofs to avoid the UIDRB. I don't think that was the intention,
Right.
right? And so you go with intent and say, yeah, that precedent is if someone came in and said, hey, contractor X did this, well, we'd say, well, then you need to go back to them. They're a licensed contractor. They know what the rules are. Then we're gonna hold them accountable to do what's right.
Yeah.
You were taking it. So I'm kind of in your court of saying, in this situation, it's interesting how it happened. I think the fact that you were doing your own roof, but then on the flip side, I have to comment of, well, it's not an approved color. Yes, it is approved shingle. I don't know if the color looks good or not. It's hard to tell from those and how,
I think there are photos, right? It's like a charcoal gray.
I mean,
It's that. I mean, I get that it's called black on the manufacturer's color chart, but that is the installed shingle. I mean, it's a mix. It's got some black, it's got some gray, like,
and so,
I mean, I think to your point, we've shown, latitude with other homes. Because realistically, in the district, a lot of people are landlords or private, companies. The homeowners that we've seen have been few and far between. And I think generally we've understood that the homeowners have lesser means and lesser knowledge of the requirements and stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna hold the licensed contractor to a higher standard. But I think in this,
it's a slippery slope. And then I present that argument that it's a slippery slope.
Well-
And that's the only concern.
And David, correct me if I'm wrong, but just to make sure we're staying on the track of the rehearing. So the application was denied in September. And then, so at this point, we're supposed to be looking at the financial documents the applicant provided compared to the information we have on the costs to have, repaired the gutter to do what probably would have been recommended had they come before. So repairing the gutters and doing a shingle roof off the approved shingle list. So we're supposed to be comparing those two elements to determine, does the applicant have a financial hardship that would have prevented them from doing it correctly the first time? It's the question on the table today.
I mean, I guess, I get it. I wasn't here in September and we also didn't know whether it was a box gutter or a stop gutter. And I think that's part of the difference. I mean, we've already required other box gutters to be repaired because that's a more significant change. But if they came here with this thing and were like, hey, I want to re-roof, do I need to keep the stop gutter? I'm not sure I would have been like, yeah, you keep like.
The 0.3 on the rehearing, and the second, although an appropriate section proposal due to the circumstances, affects the structure and the context that you see, you're talking about this homeowner occupied and or not a contractor. What between those plans are, and they can make sure that okay.
But at this point, we don't have an accurate estimate of what it would be to repair a stop versus box gutter. So these numbers could be quite
At
different.
this point, replace from scratch.
Right.
Yeah.
And they'd have to re-roof. So at this point, I don't know that the numbers we're not able to determine a final answer with numbers that I'm not sure. Because it was probably for a box gutter, which is what we were asking for. And now it's a stop gutter, which I feel is probably a lot less expensive to replace.
I think, Claire, the ambiguity in this as we first received the applications on is really does make a difference to understand the difference between the box cutter as I expected it to be from reading that and a stop gutter, both in terms of visual impact, but on the other hand, also in terms of costing less
There is the option to continue the application and ask the applicant to get a quote that is very clearly for putting stop gutters back on this house. Or if, to Keanu's point, if you all feel that is not necessary.
I would be honest. I mean, Lori, you do rep. I mean, that is a stupid fucking detail. Like,
Yeah.
it's a great way to ensure your house leaks in the future. There's no world in which I would put a stop
But
gun.
we are losing a lot of the molding details along the side that is now replaced by a K gutter. I don't know. I think there's some things that were taken off of the building that, in my opinion, if this, I mean, it just, to me, it sets a precedent. We approve this one, then it's the next one, it's the next one, and we lose a neighborhood, and then where are we? I don't know. I am sympathetic, but I also think it's buyer beware.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
shouldn't we have not approved the developments on High Street that tore down the building that, I don't know, the Chinese place, Moyes or whatever it was? And I mean, we're losing buildings in the district because people are buying them. I mean, that stupid development on the hill where the
Yes,
church.
I understand what, yeah. the
But I
church-
mean, that is not our purview. We are not a historic district. Like, yeah, I mean, in German Village and Victorian Village, they're gonna fight tooth and nail over tearing down everything or making every modification because that's the purview of those districts. That's not what we're doing. I mean,
But it is the review district.
It's the review.
It is not,
And while the only charge of this board is not historic preservation, the plan does have guidelines for preservation when possible. So it's really up to the board's discretion of, is this these elements character defining features that, had this come through properly, would have been requested to have been preserved.
I do have a quick question. You had mentioned, that this is kind of like a financial aspect of it. And I don't know if it's okay for me to ask, but did you have, homeowners insurance? And did you use the payout from the homeowners insurance to redo your roof?
No, I have homeowners insurance, but I didn't use it.
You didn't, ask about a roof replacement?
I didn't want to, my deductible go up.
yeah,
but if our purpose here is to judge the financial feasibility and reasonableness of it, if we don't have an accurate figure for changing for remediating the change that the new gutter has created. And how can we do that? I mean, don't we need to have a figure for the possible solutions that you recommend in your, in your staff analysis?
But
Well, let me
Jamie, a question on this. I mean, this was originally a stop gutter with a slate roof,
It was with the sleeper.
right? And so I don't know enough to say, hey, that was a detail work, but now you do a stop gutter with an asphalt roof. Like, is that even historically accurate? And so what we're trying, that we know the financial burden of a slate roof and stop gutter is not something that is a financial hardship.
Absolutely.
And so would we be bastardizing it by saying, well, put a stop gutter and an asphalt shingle roof, and we know that's not good, and it's partly there, and so I don't know the answer to that, and I don't know if that even.
The problem that we don't exactly know what we finally want to remediate this.
Well, the question at hand at this very moment, unless you were to continue the application, is, was there a financial hardship preventing the applicant from doing this correctly the first time?
Which correctly, in my mind, is slate
Like
roof
with the
with a
top.
stop gutter. And if you answer that, yes, there was a financial
yeah,
burden.
sure.
And so then what would we have said along that way is, okay, we're okay with an asphalt shingle roof. And with an asphalt shingle roof, a K gutter makes more sense and it's not a huge detriment to that. Now, the color, we've approved other colors based in there, so I don't know that. So if I'm using that logic and saying the right thing was slate and stop gutter, there's a financial burden. And then we just have to say whether we're comfortable with that this was a reasonable solution.
Right, but as you said, the board it's unlikely the board would have ever asked him to redo the slate roof. So reasonably,
I don't know, I think I remember some people voting no when it came to.
That's fine. There was some people who voted no if there was a replacement of the slate roof.
Yeah, and then I also remember Daniel, who's not here, and so he had mentioned that there were people who do repair slate roofs. I think we had heard.
well, and that was the issue at the September hearing, is that we do not have any condition assessments of the slate roof. We have photos of the decking that don't look great, so you can infer that the roof was in bad condition, but typically, under normal circumstances, an applicant would come to us with a slate assessment that says this roof it's exceeded its useful life, it cannot be repaired.
Right.
At which point the board would say, put on a new slate roof, which I personally have never seen recommended and approved to make someone put on a new slate roof in this district. Or say it's okay to replace with an approved shingle. And so that is kind of what we talked about at the September hearing, that, and yes, we were talking about box gutters, but stop gutters are a character defining feature. So what we talked about in September was re-roof it, don't re-roof it, but the gutters and this trim situation were a character defining feature, and does that need to go back?
So back to the slate, do we have any documentation that a slate roof repair / installer determined that it was beyond?
No, there was.
Because in 2015 or 2020, there was a durable slate and included repairing, I think they refer to it as a box, so relining it with copper and then replacing all the broken slates, and that didn't seem that extraordinary, I mean, not cheap, but so.
We did not have a condition assessment of either element saying that it was beyond repair.
And then Stephanie, do you care if I just ask a clarifying question? So we're either continuing this application where we'll be able to potentially get a quote for the correct type of gutter, or we say that we deny it, or we can say we don't have enough information, we want a different committee to vote on it. Is that?
So it's either uphold the original denial, and that you're saying we do not believe there's an economic hardship.
And then he goes.
And then he could go and appeal to the Board of Commissioner Appeals.
Okay.
You could say that you do believe there is an economic hardship, and then you have to state for the code why you believe, because there's these four specific, it's not just a matter of opinion, there are four specific tests for economic hardship that are detailed in the staff report. So it's either uphold the denial, agree that there is an economic hardship and statewide, or continue to the application to continue working with the applicant, whether it's to get a quote for a new stop gutter or a quote for stop gutter and re-roofing or what have you.
Was it only, if you continue the application, is it still gonna be those two choices?
The agree there's an economic hardship or,
Yes.
I mean,
Well, for all this, the applicant had the, state, they can start by submitting an about. After losing that, and that could have been like, I want to keep it like this, and have the roof be red, and whatever those different changes were, and we could have done it. Instead, the rehearing was chosen, based on, because they wanted to pursue.
So,
could they drop this application and just submit a new application? So, I mean, let me ask you, Laura, you do a shit ton of residential. You went, if this was your client and you saw that they had a degraded slate roof and a stop gutter and they couldn't afford slate, they were going to do asphalt shingle, would you recommend keeping the stop gutter? Because you and I are on the same page with box covers. That's a whole
Yeah,
different
it's a
thing.
difference. That's a different thing. I guess I would have had to have, I am a pretty strong proponent on keeping slate roofs. That's where I get stuck on this one, because we don't know that it was beyond repair. And I'm challenged with that one. And I'm not saying I'm just sticking it because there's there's an opportunity to get what we needed back on the roof. by, removing the stop gutter, using the stop gutter as the
How about we
avenue
put
by
back-
which to get something.
How about put back the molding on the side if we?
I mean, the molding on the side to me is more important than that stop.
So that molding, my bag could be installed or the new OG or case cell gutter that's been there to more replicate the way this was.
You've lost a lot of height for detail.
Yes.
After
Yeah, you lost.
The record too, just to point out that it's graded stop gutter that shows evidence of.
I mean, it's pretty obvious to me right there that molding was,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, it's in bad condition.
When did you purchase the home?
2010.
Okay.
Also, when I did purchase the home, the attic, the original hardwood was severely damaged.
Water damage?
Water damage.
So it took 10 years to.
It was already water damage historically. I did ask for records for repairs and contracts from the quotes from Global Slate, but they changed their record keeping system. And they did not have any records removed.
But in terms of the molding and, I mean, once again, it doesn't seem like we exactly settled on what is the best remediation for this.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if continuing to work with staff in coming up with what is the best solution to go from what we have now to the best acceptable, and to get a price for that.
Well, and the other thing, if I'm wrong, but we also have to ask the applicant, are they amenable to doing anything different? Because if they say nope, then really the only course of action is to either say that there's a financial hardship or to uphold the denial and let them move on with their, that.
With the exception of getting the correct numbers on what it would be to put that stop, because you don't have those. So that would be, and it doesn't
That's
feel
the
complete. We want to
yes.
continue it to actually get a number that's more or less what that would be.
But if the applicant was not amenable to that, and regardless of what it was gonna cost, if they said, I'm not doing that, then it would be, right?
You want to have agreement with those folks.
Where does the stop
But if
gutter
it-
range, Jamie?
The same, it would go to the downspout wherever they're located.
At either end?
And I don't see it's not located on this. There's also the point of, you can talk about it now, they're overlooking at those things before you're.
It looks like in this photo, the downspout was,
Adding trim, we can let you look
Here.
at definite numbers for what it would be to put back a stop instead of a box.
that's on the downspout.
That's to be, should be.
Oh, okay.
It's,
Yeah,
that shadow one is.
Yeah,
it does.
It sure does look like it does. Yeah. Did you relocate the, if I mean, did you relocate
And you're right.
position on the down?
On the
That one, the roof doesn't.
Still in the back, okay. I mean, it's almost like that gutter is replacing the trim piece.
It does.
So like, I don't know how you put the trim piece in the gutter and make it look in the right, I mean. And so, in a perfect world, you could say, hey, well, custom fabricate a gutter that matches that trim profile, and then it's not just your traditional gutter.
I mean,
I don't know that we gain that much by doing, I mean, honestly, that's a very standard profile on that piece of trim, nothing special. It's not significantly different from the gutter profile. And so as I calculate, I mean, I'm more leaning Keone's support of there's probably bigger, there's more of a hardship to upset that I would go on the idea that the hardship was slate and stop gutter is a hardship, and therefore that the best reasonable option was asphalt roof with a gutter was the best reasonable option. And I think that we could vote that way, right? The economic hardship would have been requiring slate with a stop. And since we don't believe that a stop gutter is, or a slate is feasible, we'd also remove the stop gutter as a way to make it look better. That be part of your motion.
Yeah, no,
That's one of the core.
that makes sense.
So you make it into a condition where you accept the hardship with the condition that they put an approved shingle on and have a different gutter? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying, that, I mean, it is an approved shingle, just different color, which we've always approved, I mean, that could be an appropriate color there. I'm saying it's the hardship existed because they couldn't replace slate.
Well, I understand, so we're accepting the hardship or not, so it's all or nothing, was my understanding.
Yeah, so based on what Ryan is saying, you all would be granting the approval of what was already done based on number 3 here, that although inappropriate, such proposal due to unusual or compelling circumstances affects only the subject structure and not the district generally, is what, if you all were,
But we don't know that another remediation strategy that they may work out with staff that would continue this would, could potentially be financially feasible. And certainly more than what we're originally looking at.
Can continue into looking into those items in conversations with us. I mean, I think I'm at your mercy still. Well, we want to make sure that you're having your will and what you want to do. I was the one that put up the gutter, so I don't think the fascia would allow for another piece of moving or something.
I think,
For example, there and
to me, the compromise would be to see if the applicant can find a gutter that is a little more similar to the molding profile. And maybe to agree to extend the molding past the gutter. For the record, I would just accept this, but in the interest of getting enough board members on where I'm at, so we can put the applicant out of his misery. I would suggest you extend the molding past the face of the gutter. So from the street side, it looks original. You see if there's a gutter that is, a little more similar to the profile molding. You'll have to do a little research, see what you can find. And we would continue the application on, see if we can find something. Hopefully that might satisfy some of the board members that are concerned.
It might be easier, but it might be able to accept the piece of both. It looks like the size is at least 5 inches on that drop on that, the
Yeah.
bait that you put there, so there might be enough to just like you put it in the, dining room where you put up, it might not be, it certainly wouldn't be the same kind of thing as getting a large gutter and that, so it might be a very reasonable, cost associated with that.
You willing?
Just from a-
Are you able?
Do you think this trim would go back and then this gutter would go?
Oh, you'd fit it up underneath the
like crown molding.
crown molding. It's
Right under the
exactly the idea. If you've got,
Under.
you've got about 5 inches here and then that came up and here's the roof. You have that space here where it'd be just like crown molding. That's what I would look at if you were trying to figure out how could I make that. And then just offer that to clarify.
Style gutters and everything in there?
Wow.
Covering them with molding.
Adding some molding so it's not so obviously a case style gutter.
the end of the gutter meets the end of the unit. The molding has to come in.
Or you just drop it back to that end of that.
Like you pull your gutter this way
Yeah,
and
you
then
would,
just send it.
right, like you'd have it end where it ends here, instead of taking it out that last little bit. That's just the mold.
Just a dime.
Without being.
Is that something you would look into? That's-
I'm a little confused because I feel like the gutter comes to the end of the roof. Makes sense.
It's the continuation of the molding
The molding
profile,
is
that's what
flush
we're
with the
concerned about.
No, well, the molding is flush with the end of the gutter,
Yes,
so I don't.
but we can see that little,
I mean, I would be curious if if there is a profile of a gutter that is more historic in appearance, so it may be a little bit taller and it's got more of a crown molding, which I think is more akin to what was there prior. My concern, regardless of whether it was really visually very apparent, and I recognize it wasn't a box cutter, but I'm really deeply concerned about setting a precedent where we go down this path, and I think we're gonna be seeing more and more cases like this. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but ongoing. I think that, if the word gets around, board's not gonna hold your feet to the fire at the end of the day.
Well, on stop gutters, I mean, I don't think we've accepted people not restoring box gutters. Like,
But we are talking about the molding trim and that profile too. It's not just the stop gutter.
that's fine. I mean, that's hence my suggestion of compromise. I think,
With a different profile gutter.
yeah, I mean, I think, look, you got a couple routes. I guess the question is, are you able to help the applicant? Is it generally understandable to you what the board is trying to achieve here?
I believe so. I think you have two tracks. One is adding a basic crown, if you will, that can vary, and it means Mr. On's question about where that would end, and you can trust the person would understand where it's at. But we'd be able to talk about that. Or the other track is, frankly, I think it's a larger cut. Is how it is.
Sure.
Because this is currently a 5.
Yeah.
And maybe look at what a 6 with a different profile. It'd still be at same time. Those are things that the owner would need to look at what those costs are associated with wholesale replacement.
I mean, in
But
the,
the uncertainty of that kind of specific detail is another argument for continuing.
yeah. No, I think totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think those are the conditions, but we just,
Can help answer those kinds of questions.
And we don't need all the details today. We need continuation
I
to
think-
find the solution.
but I think the general guidance to the applicant is we're not gonna make you re-roof the roof. What we're gonna ask is you see if you can find a gutter, either a gutter that matches the molding better or some combination of the gutter plus some molding under the gutter that sort of makes it a little bit more like what it needs to be. Not gonna, and all we need to do in this meeting is just continue it on a month, but the guidance to him is we're not gonna make him reshingle the roof. We're not gonna make him put back in the stop gutter. We're gonna make him see if he can mitigate the disparity from how it used to look in the corners. Does that seem reasonable?
And fact provides that we would find, we could decide that based on what you said, is a substantial amount of hardship. And in granting that hardship, it takes at least 90 days of working on another gate strategy. That's the move on. The 31/16/25. If the commission finds that the denial of a certificate will result in a significant economic hardship, it shall, within the next 90 days, seek a mutually acceptable way to reduce hardship. If at the end of said period, no mutually agreeable solution has been found, a certificate shall be issued. Well,
So under which, just to clarify, if the board were to go that route, that essentially says we want to work with you for 90 days to see if there's something we can come up with that's closer to what would have been. And the board is basically saying that if we can't come up with something, then they're issuing the COA based on.
that's what the process is. There's something.
But the continuation,
Continuation would just continue this.
and it would not have that mechanism to issue a COA after 90 days.
Commissioner Sullivan, I'm just trying to make sure that ends up making, I'm not saying all that.
No, I'm trying to understand what the
I
implications
just want to make sure that everybody understands what's available.
So a continuation,
Perfect.
there's not that like 90 day,
No.
it's just, we're still working on it, whereas.
Get a gutter.
So for example, if Mr. On was not able to get that kind of information in a certain amount of time,
Yeah.
it still would be like, well, couldn't make it for January, but I think I should have that for February. That's what a continuation gives you, just that open.
It seems like a much less complicated, and it also offers less potential pitfalls.
I think it also gives reassurance that you're gonna get something acceptable. I think that's what you're getting at. I mean, that seems reasonable.
But that looks like a gutter profile and trim piece. That's one that makes the gutter not look like a case style gutter, and it looks more like a trim that would be installed on that fascia, would act as a normal gutter. I don't
Yeah,
know.
did you see this gutter profile?
Yeah, let me write down for.
But the details to be worked out.
But to
That's the-
we're not saying that like that is the thing and you have to use that one.
No, but the thing is, it's doing what,
There are options.
Giving you the option of moving forward, but we need it to look a little bit more correct.
Would it be appropriate to make a motion for continuation?
SAF designer
Is there,
It's basically.
are they going to make motion to continue or is there anything specific to the code that they need to cite?
I would know they can make a motion to continue, and I would include the direction.
And specifying that if that is the pleasure of the board, that we will not be asking the applicant to re-roof. We will not be asking the applicant to put a stop gutter back. We are asking the applicant to explore something that would, an alternate solution. Yes.
And continue working with the board.
Continuing with the boys.
I just have a question. So the end of the gutter does not have to be covered, or do you want the one that's be covered?
It needs to be continuous. The trim detail needs to be continuous. You may stop the gutter, but it should be inside that trim detail so you don't notice that the gutter is stopping. Does that make sense?
Like here where it wraps the corner.
It should wrap.
I mean, if you went with this style, I guess is
you
you
could
would
put the
actually
gutter
wrap,
out.
you would just wrap that around the.
And
front.
you could
Yeah,
wrap
Replace
the gutter
Look
at that point.
continuous.
Yeah.
It just.
It's not gonna carry.
from the ground, it doesn't look like a gutter with that additional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would be a minor difference.
Options to pursue.
And the point of the continuation is to find those options, not to decide this afternoon.
And keep communication.
I just have concerns because I feel like more people have to come forward. More, so we have to choose that funding.
It's
You're
not,
replacing-
you're replacing.
You're
that mold
replacing
and
that
you're
mold.
Putting this gutter in the front, so it looks like one
Oh,
continuous system
molding
all
and
around.
gutter in the front as well as the front.
So it looks like one continuous system coming around. Just so it doesn't look like molding hitting the end of a gutter.
And keep in mind, that molding goes all the way back to your brick. So
Here.
it's,
That little,
Goes-
that return.
goes all the way around all three sides.
Yeah.
In that corner. So
So would it be,
Don't-
would it not be an option to just continue existing gutter around to the front?
that's what we're seeing. With
Not-
this
well-
particular system that we are suggesting.
Not the,
Something that's a different profile.
not the
Correct.
existing gutter, because the existing gutter doesn't look like what was there before.
What if it was an existing gutter with the mold underneath it?
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Possible.
You could work with the city, propose I think the intent here is figure out, you've got a couple suggestions. Come back in a month with a solution that looks a little bit more like what was there. I think that's what the board is asking, is that you make an honest and sincere attempt to restore a little bit of the original appearance and the.
And there's flexibility in how that happens. It could be a gutter, it could be molding on the outside of the gutter. But what the board is looking for is for some restoration of this character defining feature.
Our series form charts.
Are you amenable to that, to continuing to work?
Whatever.
We need a motion. We need a motion to continue. And then
With the
state some of those clarifying. It doesn't necessarily need to be
not
with condition, but just stating.
clarifying.
Yeah. Anybody want to make a motion?
I can't.
So so we vote yes, we're into making a motion with the continuation. that means then that regardless of what is presented next time, if it's still not something that we think is,
90 days.
No, just continue.
Find your normal.
You just gotta have that.
That's
Feature on to proceed at
Reason
a
not.
reasonable pace, because that's how it is and all that stuff. Right?
We're just continuing the
We're
case.
just continuing.
We're not accepting.
Got it.
Yeah, there isn't anything that goes
We
away
don't
on
just-
anybody's side.
no decision. Okay, all right. I make a motion to continue with, the agreement that Mr. Hahn is going to work closely in open communication with the board and will, find, a different solution than what is currently presented. So what am I saying? Something along the lines of that? With the.
For
with
the
the-
contributing,
With a contributing like structure, to what was there previously,
For the course.
for the beta boarding quarter,
harness,
what is it?
harness
Harness,
system.
harness system.
Per the commission's, or per the board's discussion. So
The board's discussion.
And that the existing roof would stay.
Yeah, and that the existing roof does not need to come off.
And then we are not asking the applicant to put the stop sign back either.
And we are not asking the applicant to put the stop gutter back on. What did you say again?
We just need
There
a
a
second.
Second,
Yes.
So the second by Mr. Fleming, or Mr. Sutherland.
either.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Mr. Suplet.
Okay. That was a motion to continue, by Ms. Parker, seconded by Mr. Sublett, Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
Ms. Gunvalman,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Reed.
Yes.
Mr. Sublett,
Yes.
and Mr. Sampson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Beautiful.
All right, and I'll follow up with you on all this, and we'll get headed on the direction of getting you back on the agenda. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Good
I'll
seeing you.
continue with this. case too. I'll quick, you know, I folks have hadn't met before,
Don't leave, we have stuff.
you know, it's really nice.
You're not, you're done, you're not.
We're available to talk about stuff sometime.
Thank you.
Oh.
Sorry, I gotta go next door to Art.
Nice meeting.
Both of you, then how many do we put there for? Was it four?
How many what?
We have 5 minutes.
Right.
I mean-
Let's just vote on these staff approvals, so everybody
Yes.
just leave at 5:30 can go.
I moved to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fleming, seconded by Mr. Sublett, Mr. Fleming.
Yes.
Ms. Dozelman.
Yes.
Ms. Parker. Yes. Mr. Reed.
Yes.
Mr. Sublett.
Yes.
Mr. Smansky. Motion carries. And with that, Mr. Chair, you can adjourn us.
If you brother.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.
I have a question after you stop.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me fill this second.
Yeah, please, kill it.
Got it.
So
It's still not.
did I see some type of something that